So, thank you for coming. Of course, maybe it would be better make it full screen. I'm gonna run a bit fast because we are running a bit out of time, but it's not gonna be an issue because it's it's a technical talk from what basically Tamara left us, and it's gonna go a bit inside the details what Tamara did. I'm actually new in Schiphol. This is important to specify. So sorry, Schiphol, if I make some shame here. In the other hand, I want to say that the working in Schiphol is amazing. It's one of the best code base I've been seeing in my experience. And trust me, I see a lot of code. Tamara gave us a bit of process, ideas, and like also what was behind the pressure, deadlines, and also the carefully how we like to care about quality. Something important to mention something I really like is that Schiphol actually doesn't run in any framework. So if there is any JavaScript developer, something really to be really proud of. And I think it's one of the best websites in accessibility I've been seeing so far. We really taking account about Node.js and like how other people see our website, and Isha shows all his expertise in his slides. Unfortunately, my slides apparently have to adjust something about contrast there. But I learned something today, so I can reuse that. Tamara leave us with the theme zones, the domains, and that allows us to be more specific in the topic, right? And also isolates the code bases, all right? So the teams are growing, right? Code bases are becoming complex, and what we do, we split the teams, right? And basically, we make sure that they become better in what they do, and also they know the rules of the business, right? Because that's where your daily work as a programmer. You represent the business logic in code. With that comes with some challenges. But the talk was about components, right? So internally, we have something that's called the component library, and we are trying to find a new name, and so I'm not going to spoil it right now. Actually, maybe I will. And as components in the web concept, right, are basically UI blocks that we reuse across organization and teams, so like topic teams, domains, in order to build our user interface. And we do try to give the same look and feel, right, across all the topic departments, no matter where you work, right? So over there, we try to face a lot of scalability issues, and so we try to reuse as much as possible, right? Our team needs to grow and scale no matter the size, no matter the amount of topic we take on board. So to give us some impression how big our code base it is, and you say, well, maybe it's not that big, say, because component library only contains 52 components there. Well, those components could be kind of complex, and they actually serve multiple purposes, but it's hard to, if you look inside the Schiphol.nl, our repository, main repository, let's say monolithic, it's not fashion anymore, say monolithic. We should talk about microservices. Basically, we have 159 components. But those components could actually be promoted to be actually more generic in the component library back. So the coupling components, how actually does it work? What we have to take into account to make sure that this is a successful way of doing it? Because imagine if we stop people working here, Because even if it's only about the minutes, right, multiplied by certain amount of people is kind of a big cost. You are not allowed to do that much mistakes about. So we try to be concerned about a lot of stuff as much as we can. So we try to dry UI, right? Because dry, it means don't repeat yourself. And even though it's not only about the code, it's about also process, right? What does it imply for a developer to bring up a website and a user interface and be up and running with the least amount of effort to it. So dry is a principle that you can apply in code. In a certain philosophies, sometimes, for instance, a domain-driven says duplicate is acceptable cost in certain cases if it brings you isolation and stability. But maybe this is a bit too technical. To keep it short, we want to redistribute also the way of working, so the daily task that we repeat as a front-end developer. So we want to also drive the process. We want to improve so the reusability across department. This is something I already say. And we want to reduce the time of bootstrapping a project. And together with this, we also want to deliver the, let's say, the best quality that we can on artifacts, on what we ship to our end users, right? To our mobile users, to our tablet users. And in this case, to people who have difficulties with the modern, let's say, browsers, but is regarding accessibility, right? So we want to cover all the spectrum of our users and don't leave nobody behind. So no matter if you don't have the latest phone or if you are incapable to actually see those big hero images that we always put on top of our pages. So the challenges behind dry or not to dry, that was mentioned, and multiple repositories versus multiple packages. I'm not sure how many here are confident about Node.js. Forgive me, but this is going to be a bit technical. Versioning and dependency management. This is another hard task to manage when you scale. And cherry pick components, and I want them all. This is more related to optimizations where you want to basically deliver the best, let's say, package in the browser in the best way, right? And then we have provisioning and security concern, but those are more related on how we want to distribute these packages, and we're going to skip actually that part. And it's not that interesting right now for this audience. Sorry for that. Flexibility and practices are the routine. Let's say that we expect the developer to be in, and sometimes we have developers that are really expert in what they do, and we want to deliver them flexibility. They want to have hands-on in the code. They want to extend other classes. They want to know what they are doing in the end. And sometimes we have also developers, they want to just have up and running and don't know anything of what the component is about. They want to just use it, right? And we try to take into account also any kind of developer account in that. So, dry. When we start a project, we always do the same mistake. Because when you type the single line of code, unfortunately for you, if you are a developer, that's inevitable. It's already legacy. Once you do git commit, git push, the business logic is already old. So, and you can just accept that, and you can move on, and you can try to find practices to make code more maintainable. Let's put it like that. So let's code you have. The principle is that. easy is to maintain. Although, as I say before, sometimes you don't want to go there all the way through, because extending has also some side effect. This is some of the picture, even, sorry for this ugly thingy, but it gives you an idea of what does it mean setting up a project. This is not entirely all the files that we have, but these are just the configuration file that we need in a project. This is a certain amount of project that we have around, and those are basically configuration files. We repeat it over and over. And once we decide to move to another library, all those configurations are old by default. So multiple repository versus multiple packages is actually an issue. So multiple repository doesn't seem as an option anymore, because it's hard to maintain and hard to propagate. We want to change the code in a single way. And about this, I think Babel has a nice article about why they went mono-repository. I invite you to read. If you want me to send the link, you have it there on my Twitter. You can check it out. I can send it to you. So, but on the other hand, when we create a package, right? And I'm not sure if everybody here is familiar with NPM, but it's basically how to distribute basically these components, this user interface that we build, is actually the right tool to do the propagation of it. You can actually have also some tools that allows you to check if your dependency are running behind the version, the latest version. We will go to there. So success stories, as I mentioned, we have one repo with all the packages, so multiple packages inside the one repo, and then we have, if the component becomes too complex or it grows too much, then you want to maybe choose to move in a separate repo. And then to make sure that the changes are propagated correctly, we then can do some automation behind to check the dependency if they are outdated, and we can create a pull request to our project and say, hey, look, this component gets updated. Do you want to update it as well? We can run like test against the branch and against the pull request to see if actually still the website works. And yeah, pretty much it. But as a last step of security, we also want to make sure that a human press is okay, because as we see, we have also Axio-related, let's say, lints, like Wesley showed us. Maybe we want to run that test before upgrading the new version of the component. Or maybe we want to do, I don't know, we want to do an A/B testing before with one version and another before actually say, yes, I want to update this component. Then comes the developer. And they asked me to keep this slide for a long time, so I'm going to do it. So the developer is, we are all snowflakes as a persons, but also as a developers. And then we have all our needs, and we want to be concerned in different stuff. Not everybody wants to be concerned about everything. I think this is important, because if you can solve the flow that is optimal in a bidirectional way, you can make people more productive, and you shouldn't fight against this. You should actually encourage to have a different flow in the same code base. So the idea is that if you start from a new project that you never see our code base before, we want to deliver you one command to be up and running and have already a Schiphol website look and feel thingy that you can customize with all your stuff. So we went for both. For doing that, we try to be, as I say, purist. We don't use framework. So over here, is it readable? Okay. So we went for the most known dependency that I could find set up. So we use a configuration option that's called bin, and that's deliver basically alias to your package, okay? And that you can run on your command line interface, okay? Okay, maybe not everybody is comfortable with the command line interface. That's true, but at least we deliver a help around it that if you spend 2 minutes reading it, probably you're gonna understand what the let's say binary, as a alias it, do. So we give you one command to interact with the workflow already. We can then we have Webpack. I'm not sure how many are familiar here. Raise a hand. Wow, quite a lot. That's surprising. No, not really. But Webpack, there is 2 ways of including it. So usually you create this webpack.config.js, and you put all the thing there, and then you move to the next project, you do the same. But in this way, basically, you're lose all the reusability that you had in place. So my recommendation is Webpack is also made it to be used as a module itself. So you can require in your scripts, and you can fire the build. And that's actually a promise, if I'm not wrong, if you are confident with that. Another is understand the context of execution, because that's also important. And on that, basically, we can get configuration itself from the package.json, and they will be exposed on the process.env. Now, the way that works is not pretty. It could be better, indeed. But if you put in the package.json config and then, I don't know, production true, for instance, you are capable of read that through process.env. So give it a try when you want. Put some config object inside, and then run a script with npm. This is a requirement, and you will see them basically on your process.env. As I say, flexibility versus practices. Of course, I mean, freedom is what we all aim, but we also aim to be structured. So we want to automate what is a practice, but in the same time, we want to make sure that we deliver flexibility. So that was it. If I have a minute, I'm not sure. Okay. I'm going to be super fast. You not reading anything, I guess? Ooh. Not sure what happened there. So I have my new Acme here. Is I'm going to remove the dist. Ooh. Of course. So what I want to show you is I have this package.json here. There is 2 components. Well, this is the core, actually, where I can find my library. And as I told you, I have here my alias here. So here, spoiler, the name of the framework. Basically, this is one of the components. All right. Now we have our way of initializing thing, and I didn't come up with it, so I just consuming it. That's not a critic, it's just I'm using what was already there. And what I'm doing here, I install a component library, and I install a component. Is it clear this for everybody? Some more? Okay. So I installed this dependency, and I have node modules, and then I have this bin runaway that gets basically inherited by this component library here. And if I click build, it basically creates me already, he understands which component I have, and it creates me the file of the bundle that I need. Now, you weren't here, but I got prepared. So I have some HTML, and this describes how I can consume basically my component. And if I go here and I do open index, I have my dropdown. So that was it. And I guess we skipped question before. We can skip it as well.